I woke up this morning genuinely excited to get to work on this van, and that's a really cool feeling. Especially given the fact that work on the van really means dealing with this and this and this and who knows what sort of wiring disaster we're even looking at in here. As someone who hates well, it's not that I hate it, I just don't understand it. And for me to be excited to work on something that is just a wiring nightmare, that's saying something. I love this thing already, man. Aside from the wiring monstrosity that we have going on in here, it's also just absolutely filthy and covered in cobwebs everywhere. Oh yeah, like back there, it's looking kinda gnarly. Dude. This is just, it is crazy. Really? We got our Hercules shop vac, courtesy of Harbor Freight. I want to go through and just try to get this a little bit cleaner. I can make it whistle. Oh, I'm just waiting for a spider to come out and attack me. Why is it whistling? It's calling the spiders. Oh yeah. Okay, that's better, I think. Yeah, I mean, now at least all of the cobwebs are gone, and now it's just all of the wiring that looks like cobwebs. First thing that I would like to troubleshoot is the high idle. We got the car started up last night, and keep in mind it is, you know, probably what, 4-year-old fuel, if not older, to be honest. But it was idling high. Usually, there are other options, like there are the throttle response issue, like the throttle pedal doing nothing, so maybe throttle body's stuck open, there's a lot of possibilities. High idle is usually a telltale sign of a vacuum leak. So we got ourselves our cheap little Amazon smoke tester, and I believe this is where the brake booster would go, which has since been capped, as you can see there. So I think we're just gonna pop this off and stuff the end of the smoke tester in there and see if we got any leaks. Also, I'm not used to working on an engine underneath of a driver's seat. So clearance issues and everything getting back here, I had a feeling it was not gonna be the best. It is just much tighter than I'm used to under here. Filming anything in here is gonna be a nightmare too, because there's no room to put the tripod anywhere, so I just have to film one-handed. You can do it. Okay. Optimally, I'd want that little cone in this, but I'm assuming they like RTV'd this bolt in there because I don't think that thing's coming off. But I think that I should probably, yeah, I can just hold it in there. First, let's make sure that she's making smoke. Oh yeah. Okay, let's see what we got. This thing's been pushing smoke in there for a minute, and I'm looking around and I'm just looking for like any wisps of smoke coming out of literally anywhere, and I am seeing a whole lot of nothing at all. And we know it's making smoke, so I kind of have a hard time believing that there's not any vacuum. Oh wait, I thought I saw wisps of smoke from down there, but it's so hard to tell. A couple interesting things that we just found out. First, I was shoving smoke in the wrong port. This is the brake booster line, actually, and I'm assuming this is factory, and I'm assuming that is not factory. Hose on hose is not usually a factory ordeal right there. There's a hose clamp those together. I don't actually know what that port is that I was putting smoke in. But another interesting find here is I did disconnect this so I can get visual on the actual throttle plate in there. I shoved my phone in there because I can't see it with my eyeballs, and take a look at what we found here. Can you see that right there? That is partially open. So that is stuck partially open, which that right there is our high idle. It thinks the accelerometer, it's thinking there's a throttle input, and there's not. So we gotta figure out why it's stuck and how to unstick it. I just disconnected I believe this is a check valve for the brake booster. Honestly, this is the line that I thought I was tapping into when we originally did that capped one back there. So what we're gonna do now is just put the smoke tester directly into here and then check for leaks. I've been putting smoke in there for quite some time, and yet again, I've been checking everywhere. I don't see any smoke escaping. Oddly enough though, I unplugged that original vacuum port that we were looking at. There, it's really hard to see on camera, but the original one that I thought was the brake booster. And there's no smoke coming out of that, and that should be a vacuum source, so any smoke that's going into the vacuum system, it should be coming out there. So I don't know if they like plugged that intentionally, or if, I mean, it was capped, but without the cap on it, nothing's coming through. Cause yeah, that thing's been running for a minute, and we got no smoke anywhere. Which, I mean, that could be a good thing. That could indicate no vacuum leaks, but it's interesting. I'm still figuring it all out in my head. I have made an executive decision, also thanks to my friend Steven, who I just got off FaceTime with for about a half hour. We have made an executive decision to start over with this wiring. And there's one thing I want you to keep in mind. I have a vision for this van, and my vision is a very, expensive, far-fetched, for multiple reasons, vision. Like it's not realistic in the near future at all. I would love to go, big single turbo. I have this dream of putting an 8 HP 70 from a Charger, right? You can do some crazy stuff with those transmissions where they actually make, you can have a clutch and a physical shifter, you can have sequential, you can have fully automatic. They make adapter kits for JZs, and people do it in drift cars. I think it would be such an insane idea to have a big single turbo 2JZ with an 8 HP transmission in a 1986 Toyota van. That would be the coolest thing to me. That is obviously very expensive, would require a lot of custom work. That's something that we would pursue, if possibly the content takes off, it starts actually generating some income. It's not in the cards right now. But the end goal is that would be standalone ECU. Steven knows wiring a lot better than I do, and he was explaining that, yeah, we could literally start over, and rewire everything. But if we have an end goal of going standalone, we know whether that's 1 year away, 2 years away, whether it never happens, we don't know yet. In the meantime, what I do know, because right now, if I plug a battery in the car, everything turns on. With the keys out, everything's on. Like, the battery has to be unplugged. Just look at this. I mean, look at that. I don't think that is right whatsoever. I don't think that is right whatsoever. At one point, these were labeled, but the labels have since faded and you can't read most of them. If it were just me, myself, and I would probably reach out to the seller who gave me his number and was like, yo, reach out with any questions. I'd probably talk to him and try to decipher everything, but because I have my friend Steven as a resource, we've started unplugging things from the ECU one by one, and we are just going to start cutting and cleaning everything up, and then rewiring the necessary stuff. He's going to be walking me through this on FaceTime. It's completely out of my league. I dislike wiring. So my instructions from Steven were to take this first connector from the ECU and start cutting stuff, leaving myself as much wire as possible, because we're going to be resplicing a lot of these. God, dude, cutting this feels so crazy. Here we go. Snip and snip. First cuts have been made. All right, I got that off. 4 hours and 47 minutes have passed since I last filmed. Steven is a magician. Look at how much cleaner, and it still looks kind of crazy, it's not done yet, but we cleaned up so much of the craziness coming out of the ECU here. We cleaned up all of the crazy wiring that was going on over here. Right now we have some very bootleg wiring just to test things, and I ordered a fuse box. We're gonna properly fuse everything. We're doing everything right. That gets here on Monday. It's Saturday at the time of filming this. So just for testing purposes, wow, okay, wait, a lot happened since I last filmed, actually. Whatever was going on with their crazy wiring was throwing off something with the throttle being stuck open. Since deleting everything and bypassing everything and doing it the quote-unquote right way, or at least just being able to trace things, the throttle responds perfectly now, everything works, and we got the car to idle great. So again, this is just for testing purposes, but if we connect the battery, this wire is our fuel pump. Again, this is temporary. We plug this in, You can hear the fuel pump going. Again, something's going on with the ignition, so the key doesn't work right now, but this is how you properly start a car, obviously. And give her a sec, give her a sec. Let her go for a sec. There she goes. That is idling like a normal 2JZ should. Everything sounds totally normal. So crazy. The fuel pressure regulator is still showing 0, but now if we give it some throttle, it responds. It's a little sluggish, but again, I have not put any new fuel in the car since getting it. This is old fuel. But that, I mean, that is a running 2JZ inside of a 1986 Toyota van. And then to stop the engine, yes, yeah, just pull that. The reason I haven't even let the engine warm up at all yet is because we know nothing. There's no oil pressure sensor, there's no water temp sensor, there's no fuel filter, there's not even the tachometer's not plugged in. Like there's nothing, we know nothing at all. Zero knowledge. I ordered a new fuel pressure regulator. I ordered a water temp gauge. I ordered an oil pressure gauge. I ordered an AFR so we can measure our air-fuel ratio. Because, dude, 2Js are expensive engines. I got an absurd, a fantastic deal on this van, especially knowing, or at least assuming, the 2JZ is relatively healthy. I want to take every precautionary measure that I can to ensure that engine stays healthy. Do I need an AFR gauge? Probably not, especially on a stock ECU. That being said, I want to know if the car is running too lean. I want to know if we're not making enough oil pressure. I want to know if we're overheating, because we're going to be overheating in every aspect of it. Everything's going to run too hot. We are pretty much on hold mainly until that fuse box comes in, so we can actually properly wire everything, figure out the ignition, figure out how to actually start the car with the key, and then monitor everything with gauges. Everything should be coming in over the next week. So I guess I'll see you guys then. Operation 2JZ van is in effect. We got some of our Amazon packages. We got the fuse box that Steven recommended, as well as 2 of our gauges. And then off camera, I've just been going through all of this wiring and doing my best to either remove and delete stuff or at least decipher stuff. And you'll notice that this wire that is cut right here, that is the ignition wire. So that explains why we were having some weird ignition issues and the key wasn't doing anything, because this was all wired into an alarm system that was all hacked together. I removed a ton. Let me show you what I removed. All of that. That is crazy. All of this came from either under the dash or in the engine bay. This was for the alarm. A lot of this stuff was for the alarm. Like all of this is alarm related. This was throwing off the ignition. More alarm stuff. And then a lot of this was, relays and fuses. And there's literally so many room for errors. So much room for error. Borderline impossible to trace. I'm very glad Steven recommended that we just start fresh. It still looks a little overwhelming, but we are getting there. But as I've just been doing research, both off and on camera, talking to friends, learning, there's more quirks that I'm seeing, as expected, but something this unique. The first is coolant. We have our radiator in there, which I already think is too small, and we're gonna have to fix that somehow. I noticed there was no drain port, which was a little curious, and sure, we can just pop that hose off to drain it that way. But then I got to thinking, and I was looking up there, and the fill cap is at the top, obviously. I went to go check the coolant, and I realized that you can't open the radiator the way that is mounted right now. It is physically impossible. Through the top here, you can see the cap. That is the radiator cap right there, and I can reach that with my hands. The only problem is, it's literally just too close to, the center console right here, that even when I got the cap loose, it hits the top, and you can't take the cap off. So you literally cannot check or fill the radiator. I have no idea if there's coolant in the engine. I want to say no, but I guess I don't know. A temporary fix would just be to, you know, drill a hole up here, just like a hole saw, so you can reach the radiator cap, which might be what I do. And then the other thing I learned is that this seat, you know, this seat flips up, and that's how you can access the engine. The passenger seat does not flip up, and if anything happens on the exhaust manifold side, on the exhaust side, you can't reach it. You can't reach it from the top, and you can't reach it from the bottom. So I mean, like, oh, let's say that boot rips and you gotta replace it. That would take normally, you know, 2 minutes on a regular 2J. With this setup, you literally would have to pull the engine. You have to drop the engine to access anything on the exhaust side. Obviously, whatever this is all custom that they did for clearance of the engine and transmission and everything. And I was looking here in the passenger seat, and it looks like, actually, wait, where was that? Oh, it's back here. You can see more of that blue stuff down there. So I think they did some cutting just to even fit the engine in here. And like, maybe I try to fab up some like pivoting mount, like for the like how the driver's seat has for the passenger seat, so we do have top access. Obviously that's going to be a lot of cutting, and I mean, most of the stuff on this van is going to have to be custom, which I think is part of the reason I'm so excited for this project, because it is going to be pushing my limits and my comfort zone with my level of fabrication skill, which is very limited. But I mean, what cooler of a project to practice on, right? I kind of want to dive even deeper into this, and maybe we just pull the driver's seat for now. We probably want to pull the passenger seat. I want to see if there's any access there at all. You know, pull back some of that interior and see what kind of cutting and modification they did. We're still very early in like the deciphering stage of this build, seeing how things were done, how things fit, all of that. And then once we fully understand what we're dealing with, then we can start either, you know, redoing things, repairing things, replacing things, kind of just going from there. I somehow didn't even notice this until right now, but they had to cut out a whole portion of the driver's seat and reinforce it with whatever this sort of rivet situation they're doing, just to be able to fit the intake manifold under there. And even there, it looks like there's clearance issues, but they really just hacked a hole under the driver's seat and patched it with something. Honestly, I'm looking forward to getting everything wired and plumbed correctly on the engine itself, because then we can start directing our focus towards all of the custom fab stuff. And that's like, I'm actually really looking forward to all that. But again, let's pull everything so we have like a clean starting point. Yeah, okay, this was not a good idea. I don't have any hands, I'm holding my camera. Okay. All right, we got our driver's seat contraption. Look how much space that opened up. It's just the gift that keeps on giving. Come look at this. The seat was held in with one bolt over here, as you'd expect. One bolt over here, as you'd expect. Nothing over here. And I lifted this up, and there's angle iron that looks like there was a hole drilled, but it was never threaded, maybe. And then this, they had a socket that was being used as a spacer to keep the seat level. Honestly, we are just going to... Oh yeah, look at that. What a trip. Wow, so, where do I begin here? Because let's see, the exhaust manifold's right here, which I would love to be able to access that. I mean, it looks like there's nuts or bolts holding in all of this. I mean, maybe, you know what, let me pull these and see if I can get this whole panel off. Oh, wow. Okay, no, this is good. The shifter and handbrake are gonna come off with it. Oh yeah. Oh dude, we can access the whole engine from here. Okay. This is crazy, dude. We got the whole, like, my whole center console. Shifter, handbrake, whatever this contraption is. But this just made me, ow, my ass. This just made me so much more hopeful for like the practicality of the swap, because I was pretty convinced you couldn't reach anything on the exhaust side in the van. This just opened up everything. It looks like a normal engine bay now. Look at this. We can actually see the entire engine now. Before, you couldn't see any of the exhaust side at all. You can also finally see the radiator cap, although it looks like you still can't open it. Oh, wait, this is actually great. Wow, sick. So all of this is actually serviceable. I was really worried because you're like, it was covered to here just about. So I was so worried, like, dude, any of these vacuum lines, or if you ever wanted to do anything on this side of the engine, I thought you had to pull the engine. But no, we got, well, a massive vacuum leak is what we got. But we got all the clearance in the world. We can see everything we need to see. This is actually great news. Hell yeah. I'm super stoked on that. I just got off the phone with Steven, who is such an amazing person. Steven, if you're watching this, thank you. He went through on FaceTime all of the wiring that I have to do and helped me write it down into my notes and to understand it, because I want to learn what I'm doing. I don't just want to blindly follow people's advice and get things done. I want to learn. I want to progress. He explained all of the wiring to me, and I think I understand all of it, and this is essentially everything that we have to do. Again, this is our little fuse box, relay box that we got going on here just off of Amazon, and I was thinking we have a nice little mounting location right there, right next to the battery. I feel like that's a good spot for it right there. Right there. Okay. That's in there. To my knowledge, I have everything that I will need, and I'm sure I'll figure out something that I don't need. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm talking with an accent, but apparently that's just what happened. Now I can't stop, unfortunately. Here goes nothing. I never want to see or touch another wire in my entire life. Oh my god, it's been 2 days. I'm in different clothes. It took so long. Nothing about what I did was difficult or hard, especially because the homie Steven laid it all out for me. Like, I wasn't even testing or guessing or doing anything. It was just like, I don't even know why it took so long. I wired in 4 relays and 6 fuses. That's it. All of that time to have it look mediocre at best. I kind of went overkill with the zip ties just because I really wanted to secure everything there. I could probably cut those off and it would look cleaner. But again, like, all of this, it looks like rust, but I don't think it's rust actually. I think it's the leftover adhesive residual, because that's where the interior fabric goes. All of this cloth fabric, remember I pulled it off, and I do plan on putting that back, so I'm gonna re-glue it on and everything, so all of the ugliness is gonna get hidden. And I figure we can, suck it to the wall right there, and it'll look fine. Yes, I did wrap it in a coolant hose to stuff it through the wall there. It was a little bit overkill, but I wanted to make sure that we don't damage any of those wires, so they're nice and protected. And then in the fuse box, again, it's literally 6 fuses and 4 relays, and that's all it is. I don't really know why it took so long, and it's really not that pretty, and honestly, I'm not that proud of it. I will say that, dude, this is my first time wiring anything, despite it literally being handed to me on a silver platter, thanks to Steven. I guess it did still feel cool to get it done. I did test it off camera, and it does work, so that's good. Got everything wired to where it needs to be. Some of these loose wires, like to battery negative, and that blue one down there is to the fuel pump. Those still have to be routed a little bit better. And then we have some wires going all the way into like ignition and everything, and I still have to clean that up, add the trim pieces and everything. But I'm just running the wires for now. Honestly, I forget pretty much everything, dude. I've been crouched inside of that van for so many hours. Dude, I look like a cauliflower. The keyed ignition wouldn't work. Like, you couldn't start the car with the keys. We thought the starter was bad. That's what the teller sold me. That's what the seller told me. But we're able to get under the van and jump the starter, so we know the starter works, so I figured it was something electrical. And then we also found out that as soon as the battery was plugged in, like, keys out of the car, the fuel pump is on and running, which is not correct, obviously. Which again, I assumed. Why did I show you what I pulled out of the van? This pile of wires all came out of the van, whether it was the alarm system, the engine harness from the ECU, like all of that came from inside of the van. We deleted all of that. It's still not super pretty yet because we do still have some stuff to run. I got gauges. We're gonna run gauges, so I'm not covering this all up yet. This is all for the radiator fans, which that's a whole nother ordeal we're gonna have to deal with. But strictly from the ECU itself to the fuse box right behind this wall right there, that is all so much cleaner. We have no wires going all haphazard over the engine. We bypassed all of the crazy stuff they had going on there. Now we just have random vacuum lines that need to be rerouted. So up next, like that's just open. Up next is like the engine plumbing, which that I'm actually looking forward to, as opposed to the electrical was miserable. I'm just not an electrician, I've learned. I don't like any electric. Take this view with a grain of salt. Again, this is not its final form. It's obviously still gonna be buttoned up and it will look good at some point. But more importantly, ignore the work boots. The first thing you'll notice is that if we plug in the battery, the fuel pump is not on. You don't hear anything. There's no dash lights on. Well, actually there is. That's just the door is open because the door is open. But before there was like the car was pretty much on, like ignition was on without the keys being in. Again, something was wrong with the wiring. So now the battery's plugged in, keys are out, van is as it should be right now. And then we go, oh yeah, these are the gauges we got. We go ahead and grab our keys. And if we turn the keys once, you can hear the fuel pump is on. The fuel pump is pushing fuel into the fuel pressure regulator. The fuel pressure regulator is still reading 0. I already ordered a replacement, so that's getting replaced. And then our dash lights come on, parking brake, which is not, the parking brake is over there. And now we can crank the car from the keys. There she is, baby. Oh, she died. I don't know if there's fuel in it. There it goes. The fuel light is on, but again, I don't know if anything's connected. So yeah, I mean that's a start for sure. Dude, the fuel smells I gotta get new fuel in this thing badly. I don't even remember where I left off in this video. I need to like go to sleep or something. All right, gang. All right, fam. What's good? What's poppin'? That was me practicing being a YouTuber. You know what I mean? Anyway. I just have my coffee. I am very content with how everything's going this far. And I will say, I've been getting a lot of comments, a lot of DMs of people saying like, dude, the van is cool, but come on, pull the engine, put it in the S14. There's no reason to have that in the van. And totally, 100% agree, but what's the fun in that? I am determined. I'm not saying the 2J will forever live in this van. I do want to go big single turbo. I want to build this engine properly. And that being said, like, as I put money into it, I want to keep in the back of my mind, like, let's make sure all of this can still go into a more practical chassis if life takes us that way. But in the meantime, like, I'm going full force on the van until further notice. So, I mentioned, God, it still looks pretty gnarly, but it looks so much better, I will say. We're still waiting on the fuel pressure regulator. I ordered a AFR gauge as well. Those won't get here in time for this video going up, but we do have water temp, oil pressure, and then a little 3-gauge holder. I realized that these come with the, NPT threads for the sensors, and everything on the van is I forget what it's called. Not NPT. So you have to get an adapter, which also is not going to make it here in time for this video. So we're not going to get the gauges wired up and working today, but I do want to get everything roughly routed. If we pop this bad boy open, again, nothing crazy here. This is just the cheap Amazon universal gauge pod little triple thing that we got. I don't really have a driver's seat to sit in right now to see where I want our gauges to be, but I mean, I'm picturing either that, which just seems a little too in our way, or probably just right there. That actually fits perfectly. Look at that. And then we're gonna be tapping in to the van fuse box that you can't see because there's no lighting down there. So I think that works pretty well. One of my favorite ways to just poke stuff down if I'm trying to wire stuff is just using TIG rod. So I took out this, what was it? It was just like an empty change drawer type of thing. And I just fished this TIG wire down here, and sure enough, it's coming out right there, which is actually right by our fuse box. So that works out super nicely because we're gonna tap into some fuses here. But I think, because I do want to do this relatively clean, I got our two gauges in there already with just the harnesses dangling. I think I want to drill out the back of this so that I can actually put that back in there, and the wires will just go through that little hole right there. Look at that, perfect. All right, and then that will just go in there, and then all the wires go down. Right now, all of these aren't going to reach the fuse box, which is to be expected. Normally you have to extend these. Right now, all I have is red and black wire, and I want these to remain color-coded, so when I'm down there, I can actually see what I'm doing. So I gotta go pick up, yellow, orange, red, green wire. So in the meantime, we know that is a viable spot for the wiring. So just for fun, we are going to stuff it all in there, just so we're able to kind of mock everything up. There we go. Obviously it'll all look cleaner, but we're still waiting for the AFR gauge, which I'm gonna put there and also route through that, so I might as well just route them all at once to the fuse box. But then we will have water temp, oil pressure, and AFR, 3 of which are very important things to know for a swap like this. Or, I mean, just in general, obviously, but that, unfortunately, kind of puts us at a standstill until those parts come in. That's gonna wrap it up for this episode. This was very, very wiring heavy, which is, good practice for me, but boy, is it not my strong suit. Very cool that we were able to bypass all of the craziness and really clean up what they had going on. All of the ECU stuff is very simplified and a whole lot cleaner. And then we got gauges, and then it's time to move on to the plumbing of the engine, I actually am looking forward to that a bit. I mean, I'm looking forward to anything more than the wiring. So as usual, thank you to you guys for watching and channel members for supporting. I hope that you guys see the vision that I see for this. And that is made possible thanks to all of you guys watching and supporting. So thank you. Catch you next video. Peace out.